There's been months without any relevant happenings, so while we wait, anyone has any night shift stories to tell?
Shitty motel off the freeway next to a Denny's. Night shift? Just me and the cleaning staff. Cleaning staff is almost 100% undocumented Salvadorian and Mexican women. They rarely bring attention to themselves. One night one of them asks if I'll help her with one of the rooms. Odd. I join her, thinking it must be serious. Get to room. Nothing out of the ordinary. I help her clean up a bit and we both leave. This happens a few times, different cleaning ladies. Confused. Finally one of them explains. A few of them have had the same experience in that room. They walk in. It's empty. They start to clean. Lights go off. They look around. A man is sitting on the edge of the bed. Dark, but he looks naked. Cleaning lady quickly leaves. This always happens when the room is supposed to be empty. No guests registered for it. My first thought is some pervert is freaking with the cleaning staff. Tell them let me know when they're going to clean that room. Next time. I'm keeping an eye on cameras when cleaning lady goes into the room. A few moments later she rushes out. Keep my eyes on the monitor. Nobody else comes in or out. Cleaning lady shows up at desk and tells me she saw it again. Rush over to room. Empty. MFW.
Not night shift but kinda related. B15. Larping as a hobo to see if I could. It's late November and I'm wearing thin cotton pants so it's cold as freak. Around 4:30 a.m. walk to Safeway so I could hang out in the Starbucks where it's warm. Still half an hour till they open. Some scrawny white guy with a beard pulls up next to me, something weird about him but I don't know what. Asks if I want to smoke weed. Say no. He says okay and goes to park. Store opens at 5 a.m. He asks if I want a donut. Say sure, go inside with him but lose him, then sit in the Starbucks till 7 and walk home. Thanks for reading my blog.
It's a small field but not many people know how haunted most libraries are. Be me. Worked my way up to library manager. Managed 3 libraries thus far. Board of Supervisors, District Manager, etc. always tell you what's up with your branch shortly after taking the job. Current branch is pretty messed up. Female employees, 90% of the workforce in the field, at my library suffer the most. Angry noises affect one employee. Accuses her teammates of pranks. Stomping around, doors slamming, men shouting, etc., while in the back room. Another female employee has been locked inside the bathroom with the lights thrown off. Sink turned on when she was in there. Heard her cry for help, as staff bathroom on other side of manager's office. Door was locked. And required my master key, the only key that can lock that door from outside. Obviously, I was not responsible and would never do this. Public restrooms are a no-go for my female employees. They are opened and closed by me, and me alone. Stalls will slam in sequence, lights will go on and off, diaper stations spontaneous fall open. Most libraries keep a second incident report log. This is usually very private and quiet. We know these as unexplained phenomena logs. We are usually county and local government, so staff safety still needs to be ensured. I've had to close the branch one day. County maintenance guy and myself fabricated that the power was lost to the facility. Not true. We flipped the breakers as proof for when my opener arrived. Truth is, it was a mess inside the building. Books were literally everywhere, as if someone with a grudge had broken in. Workstations and service counter a mess of unloaded staplers, pencils broken into dozens of pieces, and our copier bulb was burnt out after running all night. Pages photocopied were of the ceiling above the copier. More? More it is, then. This last winter, 2020. Board of Supervisors decided that operational hours needed to be extended, to make up for the doors being closed during the Great Koof Inning. Genius decided that the branch will be open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, that way we can serve the exactly 0 people wanting books at night, in the snow and cold. No female employee closes during the winter nights anymore. Our hours have changed to 6 p.m. extended hours. This is that reason why. Week 5 of stupid late night hours. I am closing with, let's call her, Janet. Janet is a really cool employee. Never says no, a great self-starter, and is fun to work with. She's had her own encounters. She's the employee who faces the phantom harassments approximately around 7:50 p.m. A snowstorm hits the area. I offer her the ride home as to not endanger her elderly mother, as Janet does not drive. Shortly after hearing the winds and snowfall, a cacophony of noise erupts from the lobby. Slamming, banging, glass shattering, and a deep booming. Janet and I cease our chatting, and I get up to investigate the cause. At the glass doors to the lobby, nothing is of note. The front doors are closed, light is on. I enter the lobby. I've taken about 4 steps from the glass doors to the closed front doors, as the glass doors slam behind me. I turn, expecting to see Janet. She's not there. Turning back towards the front doors, the right wall with our public bulletin board begins dropping flyers one by one. The tacks remain in place. I stare dumbfounded as the bulletin board sheds itself nude. In this lobby, there are 2 doors to the left that are the entrance to our public meeting room. The meeting room doors slammed on their locks, rhythmically. Pound pause pound pause pound pause. I jolted at this, but stared in shock as the blackness in the room is all that could be seen through the door windows. The light in the lobby started to flicker out of sync with the pounding. At this point, I'm finished with this. I've heard things and have seen things, but this is my first truly wholly unexplained experience in this branch. I make a deliberate walk to the doors leading into the library, and walk back inside. Janet is not at the customer service desk. I was unnerved by the experience from the lobby, but something about the familiarity of the library interior made her not at the desk okay. She was more than likely just shelving. Sure enough, I hear the squeaking of a book truck. After a single use, they all begin to squeak. I step into my office to check my emails once more, and finish a flyer for a children's program we were planning for the holidays. As I type, I hear squeaking of the truck, then a pause. I am thinking that indeed, Janet is shelving in the stacks somewhere. After about 10 minutes of my working, and the sound stopping and beginning of the book truck, I decide to go back to the main library and see if Janet needs assistance in finishing. The book truck is right in front of my open office door. Completely void of any library materials. Placed directly in front of the open space, so that I must move it to venture forward. I move the cart, and briskly make a tour through the library. I went through every shelf bay, and checked our teen room. I hadn't heard Janet walk by with the book truck, nor had I heard her out on the floor. In a panic, I head for the staff break room. A sinking feeling washed over me, that potentially the noises in the lobby were a distraction from some sort of bad guys who've entered the library through other means. The staff break room lights are off. I turn them on. The small room is empty. I check the back door staff entrance, it's locked. I think of the staff bathroom. I try the handle, and it's locked. I knocked. Nothing. I knock harder, saying Janet's name. Nothing. I take the master key, and unlock the door. Janet is on the floor of the bathroom, crying her eyes out. Mascara all over her face. She looks up wide-eyed, and grabs me around the waist, absolutely delirious, saying my name and how she was trapped. I bent down to comfort her, asking what the F happened. I help her up, and we sit at the lunch table. She's shaking as I bring her a box of tissues. When I had gone out to source the noise, she had waited more than 15 minutes for me to return. I stated that this wasn't possible, but she cut me off. She had gotten up to use the bathroom. She did her business, washed her hands, but the towel dispenser didn't work. She tried a few more times, but decided to exit the bathroom and use the towels in the kitchenette. The door wouldn't budge. She tried over and over, but the door was locked. She began pounding the door, and yelling my name. Frantic now, she became more and more terrified of her situation. That was when the lights went out on her. She felt around quickly for the switch, but no matter how many times it went up and down, the lights would not come back on. The sound of footsteps echoed on the tile floors. She said it sounded like 3 people were in there with her. This is when she began to cry. She was just waiting for the moment something, or someone, would shove her, push her, or run into her. She curled up in a corner trying to make herself as small as possible. She covered her head, but after just a moment, the footsteps stopped. The sink came to life. Gushing water, then it turned off. Gushing water, then off again. On the 3rd time, it began to just drip. Each drop becoming louder than the last, until, as she stated, the sound began to hurt her ears. It was then I arrived. When the lock turned over from my key, the lights came back on. I profusely apologized to Janet. However, I had been on the opposite side of the wall and heard nothing. I swore if I would have heard her, I would have been there in seconds. Janet wasn't okay. Of all the instances of these experiences, this had been the worst. She refused to be left alone, and the 2 of us traveled around the building and stayed close. I believed her story, but the time issue was nagging at me. Currently, the time was now 8:20. I had checked my PC clock / my workstation when I returned from the lobby and floor, but my time added up. Something about this was odd, and terrifying. With only 40 minutes left of being open, we remained at the service counter watching videos to calm Janet down. Though frightened myself at what she told me, I needed to remain calm and in control for her sake. What happened next still gives me the chills. The ceiling of the library is an enormous labyrinth of beams and crossbars, like a cathedral vaulted ceiling. The beams began to creak and moan, as if a great weight had been placed upon them. "Oh shit, must be the snow," I stated. As I finished the last syllable of snow, I was struck on top of my head. A DVD case had fallen from the beams. I looked up, nothing there. Janet begins shuddering and sobbing. The creaking and moaning becomes slower, louder. I rose from my seat and beckoned her towards me. The DVD and Blu-ray stacks started to shed materials from them. In 1s, 2s and 3s, DVD and Blu-rays fall from the shelves. "We're done. We're leaving." Quickly, we headed for the back room and grabbed our coats. Making it to my vehicle, I started the engine and drove to the entrance. I locked the doors, and we left for the night. I recorded the incident, and informed the county library manager of what had transpired. The building was a mess in the morning. In addition to the visual media, the children's picture books, non-fic, and half the adult fic were completely removed from their shelving. I contacted Janet. Asked how she was doing. She was thinking of quitting. She had never felt so helpless, powerless, and worst of all, afraid. To be honest, I begged her to stay. She's a fantastic employee, and she still works for me. However, female employees do not close, or stay after dark. We do not have a lock on the bathrooms now. A sign that says, "Occupied and vacant" is on the outside of the door, and needs to be flipped. Obviously, employees must additionally knock. Closing shifts are for male employees only. For some reason, our unexplained phenomena are limited to slamming doors and flickering lights. I have more stories if Anons are interested. From this library, and others. Library man back with another short story. These goat totems, pick-related, were found by the hundreds over the course of weeks throughout the library. We'd find them high up above the shelf bays, hidden behind books, squeezed in between shelving units, under the children's globe, etc. orchestrated a hunting party each morning to locate as many as possible. In one day, my team employees came with a small tub filled with maybe 80 of the cursed things. Team beginning to worry, as this is unusual and disturbing. Just more nonsense we go out of our way to ignore. We set a watch and patrol during operational hours. Keep an eye out for anyone tall to reach high. Look for someone bending down, reaching up, moving slowly through the shelf bays. We do this every 10 minutes for weeks. Still, every morning, we find these stupid things. This continues for an exact month. We never identified anyone, especially someone frequent, who could be considered a culprit. I present to the district manager a copy paper box filled with the hundreds of the goat totems. We dispose of these. With the building being strange, let's assume the insidious. One day, they just stop. We found them all, and disposed of them. Being librarians, we're good at getting information. These goat totems are from a German beer. They should have a little red text saying on the bottom, "Celebration." Each and every totem had this scrapped off. Where would someone in this rural town be importing German beer in such vast amounts, in a dry county, in a state where it is illegal to ship alcohol? Additionally, these were never placed during the day as for a monitored fact. We'd find them in the morning. Pic attached is the sole surviving piece of evidence of this event. Attached are the beams and rafters. This is where the public restrooms are located. The light flickered upon taking this photo this morning. As previously stated, female employees do not pass this point and either lock or unlock these bathrooms. Library man. New story. This is about my visit to the most extreme rural branch, located in a once beautiful mountainous part of the state. However, an enormous wildfire ruined the area about a decade ago. Most of what was captivating has not grown back, and many of the summer cabiners have never returned because of the state of the place. This branch serves less than 75 people, and is 54 miles from the nearest town. Being young, lucky at times, but busting my ass and paying attention, I became the youngest library manager in my state, with only 4 years experience and a bachelor's degree. I had some great bosses, who showed me how a great library looks, runs, programs, and staffs. District manager is impressed with my 4 months at my current branch. Begs me to do the same at this far-off rural branch the best I can, in 3 days' time. This rural branch is staffed almost entirely by a single volunteer, who is over 80. It is, however, funded and paid for by the county, as dictated by the Board of Supervisors. I agree to do my best. I'm always thirsty for the next thing to flex on my resume. I do, however, request to take on additional employee with me. It'll be hard work, and the extra hands will be needed. I take my most loyal / reliable / trusted employee. Let's call him DK. DK is a turbo autist. He's also 6'8" inches. He will talk for hours about World of Warcraft, a game that ceased being relevant a decade ago, and a game no one has played in that time as well. I affectionately refer to his position as being Chief of Security at my branch. He never says no, craves my approval, but he's a hard worker. We arrive day 1. 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Overtime, so I'm excited to be here to say the least. We reorganize the collection. Clean each filthy item with wipes. Make room for adult programming. Throw out an entire backroom worth of useless trash. However, this remote branch is quite creepy, even during the day. It was built entirely upon community donations, and looks like it. Aluminum sliding exterior, small square almost bathroom windows, 9 feet of the ground, and only 6 of them. The entire facility is no larger than most American living rooms. No restrooms. Outside, the forest fire was stopped about 20 feet before it could consume the library. It sits deep in the narrow valley, and about 1.5 miles away from the main lodge that used to attract tourists. It is pretty much the end of the line. No cabin survived the blaze past the library, which used to be in what could be called the center of this tiny town. DK was eager to drive and show off his skills. To complete his turbo-autist life, his mother purchased him a Jeep Commander, complete with what must be a 20 inches lift, enough lights to see from orbit, and a powered winch which I assumed was for his inevitable tumble off a cliff. This vehicle would be our transport, and if I can sit back and relax and have dinner, I don't mind being chauffeured around the county. Night 2 comes and goes. However, we end up finding that a shelving unit has absolutely molded and needs to be trashed. DK power. I open the doors onto the night, and with DK hauling this massive thing with ease, help him load it into the Jeep Commander. There's something a little morose about an area ravages by fire. There are no insects, no birds, no bats, and no deer. Once upon a time, deer would graze in the nearby meadow and create a serene, picturesque setting. Now, it felt like we were on some sort of gray moon, complete with Halloween spooky trees. As we slam the hatch closed, we start crunchy the gravel back towards the building. However, another noise, in this absolutely silent area, makes us turn instantly. Deep in the burned and blackened stick forest to the right, we hear a long, sad cry. It started soft, but ended with a yelp. DK and I continue to look in the direction of the noise, expecting it to continue, or at least start again. Nothing happens. Well, that sounded how I feel. Let's leave, it's late. I say to DK. DK agrees, but starts to ramble and rant about a video game. He often does this when he is nervous. Honestly, I thought that sound could have been anything, and it didn't matter. My own library has its own strangeness, and at this point, I had become desensitized to just about anything. We have our dark drive in peace, and after a while, I've stopped hearing about the new expansion to the video game is and how bad it apparently is. Night 3. This is a small county, there are no local law enforcement agencies. The sheriff's department services this huge area, and there are only 6 deputies. Luckily, one deputy, let's call him Alex, hangs out in this small town at night. Deputy Alex creeps/flirts with an underage girl, whose parents own the lodge. I will say, it is consensual. However, he learned that I knew. We had an agreement, I say nothing, look the other way, and in exchange, Alex doesn't notice my Volkswagen speeding by daily going 85 to 90 miles per hour in a 55 highway, on my hour commute. DK and I hit the McDonald's on the highway for dinner before we cruise to the library. As we drive the winding road, sure enough, Alex's sheriff's department SUV is parked out front of the lodge. We pull in front of the library, and finalize the job. I set about finishing their brochures, flyers, and website. DK is now doing some deep cleaning. Halfway through the night, we hear a scraping noise. I jolt up from my daze, and DK looks over quickly to the source. The aluminum sliding on the wall next to me sounds as if something large is dragging itself against it. The sound continues, until it slows, diminishes, and suddenly disaps. Exactly like something was rubbing against it. Huh. Sounds like a deer or something needed a butt scratcher. DK said with a chuckle. I laugh as well, until we hear the same thing against the wall behind me. Same pattern, same gait of stride. Faster this time. Then the wall over by DK. Huh, I say. DK grabs a stool, and attempts to peer out one of the tiny, small and high-up windows. The front door creaks from weight. The front door. The only way in and out of this shack. The front door, that is not locked. Instantly, I leap from my chair and dive for the door. I throw the lock on the handle. I back up, expecting the door to start pounding in, and the handle to be tried. Nothing. DK climbs down from the stool. Hey Anon, I didn't see anything, man. Do you think someone is trying to get in? Like, a patron sees out lights and thinks we're open? Maybe. I replied. This entire county is crawling with weirdos. Let's call Alex. I trailed off, interrupted by the scraping against the first wall where the noise first came from. It was faster this time. It cleared the first wall, followed by the second, in sequence. All right, screw this. I exclaimed. I am going to call Alex. See if you can see whoever the hell it is out that window. Leroy. DK begins. Please, no man. Just get up there and take a peek. I said. 911 dialed. Blank blank County Sheriff Department, Deputy Alex speaking. What is your emergency? Alex, I say between the scraping noise, speaking loudly now to hear myself over the harsh metallic shrieks. Anon here with the blank blank County Library District. Hey, we're over here at blank Public Library. Do you hear this? Something is outside and scraping against the sliding. It's been messing with us for a few minutes now. We got the door locked. Can you please get over here and take a look? Though a creep, I appreciated his response and professionalism. Hang tight. He'll be there in 2 minutes. Don't go near the door. I'll have my lights on. We hung up. DK, see anything? No response from my chief of security. He just stared out the window. DK, do you see anything? Yeah, like if this is like a super tall black thing that kinda looks like the trees, then I saw the top of something's head go by a second ago. DK moans out. My palms are sweating at this point. WTF? Alex will be here in like a second. I'm sure he'll see it and give it the business. The sounds stop. Fatally, we hear a siren. Red and blue lights begin to illuminate through the windows. Car door slams. Crunching gravel. Flashlight beam mixes with the red and blue. Door pounds 3 times with a knock. Anon? Deputy Alex here. You in there? Yeah, we're in here. Want me to open up? I shout. A small pause. Yeah. We're clear out here. But what's happened here? DK and I exit the library. Outside, we see what he's seeing. The aluminum is scrapped as if it was metal on metal. Deep, light, and medium gouges reflect in the flashlight. I look down. Tracks, circling the small building, are in a line. Alex looks down and shines the light. 3 toe tracks, almost like a bird, are visible. WTF. Alex asks us what we're doing, we explain. Asks us if we'd seen anyone, seen anything strange, or heard anything. No, and no. Goes to his SUV. Takes his report log, starts filling it out. Asks for my ID. The squad SUV is parked 6 feet from the building. DK's Jeep Commander is parked to the right, closer to the burned woods, about 30 feet away. As DK and I keep looking around, and Alex is making his report, we all hear it. Very close, very loud. If you've ever seen the movie, the CGI Beowulf film with the sexy golden dragon lady, you might remember the Grendel character, and the sound he made when he heard loud noises. Like this irritated whining noise. We hear something similar to that. It is accompanied by exasperated breaths and wheezing. It coming from over by the Jeep Commander. Alex unholsters his weapon, dropping his log papers. You there? Hands up where I can see them, Alex commands. In the chill of the night, steam is rising from under the Jeep. Something is breathing heavily under it. Gravel is swirling, and with the flashlight, a shadow can be seen under it. Sheriff's Department. Hands out slowly. Let me see your hands. Show me your hands now. He commands again. The gravel stops swirling. The steam sighs out from under the vehicle. Alex approaches, but only slowly. DK's Jeep Commander begins to slide to the left. A slow, dragging slide as the vehicle was slightly lifted as well. The breathing and steam was chugging like a steam locomotive. The car alarm is now wailing. Here's this huge vehicle, being lifted and dragged from underneath, moving slowly towards the tree line. Alex was stunned at this point. Weapon still pointed and drawn, he watched intently with the two of us. After a few seconds, he discharges his weapon into the dirt below the Jeep Commander. The vehicle drops, and ceases to move. A gangly arm grabs the step platform on the driver's side of the Jeep Commander. To me, it looked like a burnt tree, blackened with an alligator pattern, and have 3 fingers. The hand retreated as suddenly as it appeared. The vehicle tidled towards us and lifted, as a tall shadow appeared on the other side of the vehicle. Again, just like DK described, like the top of a tree, only blackened. It sprinted towards the black trees. Police lights turning and flashing red and blue, car alarm still blaring, pistol muzzle smoking, we all stood there in shock. What happened next was your standard, what the freak, what was that, did you see that, etc. etc. The report was filed, and DK and I gave our testaments. It was not made public. District manager was informed. I was questioned as well, and DK and I were told to never speak about this unless asked by a sheriff, or the district manager. Sliding was sanded down to hide the scratches. Within 2 months, the county announced we would no longer be financially supporting this branch. It would not longer be a part of the county. This was probably the only physical sighting, direct incident with the unexplained I've ever had. If I had to guess, based off of other testimonies here on /X, I think the thing was some sort of tree creature that got caught up in the blaze. I think it lived in constant pain. I think our lights at the library caught its attention, but ultimately, I think it was afraid of us. Maybe it wasn't before Deputy Alex arrived, but it tried to hide, and then escape. Never heard anything about it or like it ever since.
Something like this, Library Anon?
Never saw the face. Top of the head is about right, but limbs were thin and had 3-toe/finger thing going on.
I used to do overnight restocking at a Toys R Us. The fire escape alarm once went off even though the door was still locked. Everyone I worked with was afraid of the party room near the front of the store. I never saw anything spooky in there myself, but apparently my coworkers would sometimes hear movement in there. I'd sometimes find random stuff like uneaten fruit and stuff the store didn't sell on the shelves. Go to take a shit in the bathroom at 4 a.m. Toilet flushes as I go into the bathroom. Nobody in there. Kinda creepy overall, but nothing explicitly scary happened while I worked there.
I worked overnights at Walmart, only have the one story. Be me at 3 a.m. trying to waste time in my shift by hiding in lunchroom. Listening for manager so I can pretend I'm on lunch and swipe out. Only really me and 4 other guys all on the floor. Keep hearing someone walking around the back room but too far for me to be caught. Bored, but eventually the walking stops for a while. After 15 minutes it suddenly sounds like someone is running to my area in the lunchroom. Get freaked but put my head down and pretend like I was just sleeping on lunch. Steps enter room and rush to me. Expect to hear something or be woken up but nothing. Eventually look up and realized I'm still alone and think I imagined it. Stay there and don't pay attention to the fact that sound never left. Actually leave and swipe out, and as I come back to lunchroom and sit at my spot, hear the stomping rush to doorway and see a few chairs get pushed aside and one topple over like something ran through them. Shit my pants and sit on the floor and eat. I asked everyone and no one entered the back room. They were all doing inventory crap. Supposedly tons of employees there saw a lady in white in the back rooms that ran around corners, so I got off lucky, I guess.
This shit happened at a LAN party. Be me. Drunk AF and take a stroll to a gas station for beers and food at almost 11 p.m. Buddy of mine asks where is the nearest gas station. I tell him that the gas station is outside of the city, so the distance was about 3 kilometers on foot. We got there at 12:04. buy all the necessary shit. On the way home I needed to take a piss. We find a street entrance along the intersection which was empty. I tell my pal to watch my back while I pee. An old woman suddenly appears on a bike when I look back. I quickly finish my work although I got myself a little yellowed. We go up the sidewalk on the same road where the old bitch went. The lady has disappeared around the corner. WTF.
Working nights at a gas station in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere. Vance effing Craddock randomly comes in at 1 a.m. If you don't know, he's one of a handful of 4-star generals in US history. Same rank as Washington had. This old man used to run shit at Guantanamo Bay. He infamously ordered his men to hunt down and execute heroin runners during Desert Storm. We talk politics, he says he has something interesting to show me. It's his UN credentials card. Proceeds to tell me the US is screwed beyond salvaging. Blames traditional and social media, coupled with the low voting age. Says the US has devolved into a de facto oligarchy, minus all accountability, since stupid kids will vote for and allow anything they hear a celebrity support or are conditioned by social media to believe is the bandwagon take on a given thing. Talks about how real change starts in local government and until people put the work in to start from the bottom, and push for social media reform and a voting age increase to at least 25 things will only worsen. Believes the US is rapidly approaching the point of no return. Encourages me to run for any office in my local government after we chat about our beliefs more. On his way out the door quotes that older republic if you can keep it line. Probably the most interesting thing I remember from that job. Had an alcoholic regular who got more and more hostile every time I saw him, then tried to hit me after I told him I couldn't sell him beer on Sundays. Had an old boomer couple come in every Tuesday, one distracted me with small talk while the other stole a big container of powdered coffee creamer we kept under the counter. Every Tuesday. After I realized their game I'd already decided to quit so let it slide the last week I worked there. There was a guy who was the star, I hear, of a show called Appalachian Outlaws. He'd come in with his wife and call her a hoe, tell her to shut the hell up constantly, that kind of thing.
I worked at a Goodwill Wholesale outlet. We sold all of the stuff that the stores didn't have room for at a per pound price. We would get huge boxes, 5'X5'X5, called Gaylords filled with assorted shit. People in the back would fill huge rolling tables with the donations, and every 15 to 20 minutes they would roll out the new tables of stuff. Now and then, we would get a shipment that would just have straight up weird shit happen while it was in the warehouse, including 2 Gaylords of realistic, life-size dolls of crying children with sculpted on tears. We had 6 different female employees that quit because they kept getting scratched by something. It stopped after my coworker old man Paul put the dolls through the industrial clothing baler. It's a machine that compresses clothing into giant bricks. Fun fact, if you put anything with stuffing, pillows, old dolls, stuffed animals, some jackets, into an industrial clothing baler, it will shoot stuffing everywhere. Awesome shit stopped after that. I only have one other story, about the strangest break-in I have ever encountered. Shit ain't even the worst of it. Used dildos. Dirty diapers. Food. Literal bags of garbage. 500 pounds of bondage gear, we put that on that baler to go to Africa. Drugs. Bloody clothes. I had 2 guys get in a fight. The people are even worse, I had to break up a fight over 30 expired cola once. The strangest break-in I have ever experienced. Background, I got promoted to loss prevention a few days before this happened. Get a call from my boss to come in early. We had a break-in, but it's not normal. This is some weird shit, you gotta see this tape. Break-in attempts were not uncommon, normally it was junkies trying to get into the safe, or sometimes the electronics room. The electronics room was where the shipments of things that were worth serious money were stored, Apple products, designer bags, high-end electronics, before being sent across town to the online sales division to put on eBay. I get into work, and I see the tape. Tape timestamp, 3:20 a.m. One of the boxes from a shipment of clothes from earlier in the day slowly opens itself. Someone dressed head to toe in black emerges from the box. They beeline to the electronics room and pick the lock. Inside the ER, the person goes to a specific box, opens it and removes one laptop, along with an external drive. They then go to another box and remove a designer handbag. The thief then exits the ER, walks to the register, puts everything in a plastic bag, and waltzes out the front door. There was easily $20,000 of stuff that they flat out ignored, including gold jewelry. We only found out about the break-in because the janitor noticed that the front door was unlocked.
Here we go. I work in a restaurant that's part of an old village nonprofit in the eastern United States. Basically, the village was founded in the mid-1700s by a rather odd religious cult. They lived there for a pretty long time, and as you would expect, there were plenty of deaths. So naturally the restaurant, which is a repurposed common building, formerly housing the infirmary and village offices, is effing haunted. Be me. My first day on the job back in 2017. Working with my homies, so we of course get up to shenanigans. We finish washing all the dishes when my best friend, referred to as M from here on out, decides to ride the dumbwaiter down to the basement. We think screw it, he's small enough to fit and it can carry some weight. Send our lad down. He gets to the bottom. Start hearing him screaming for us to bring him back up. Hammer the up button. He makes it back up and tells us what happened. For context, the basement is where the bakery and storage is at. The dumbwaiter has a little bitty window that lets you see into it and, in our case, out of it. He tells us he saw a man down there dressed like one of the village's guides, period dress, simple farmer garb, cult clothes. Tells us that he thought one of the guides was just down there to grab a snack from the bakery, but the guy turned and had no face. Spooked.jpg. We never sent anyone down the dumbwaiter ever again. I've got loads of these stories. I'll keep posting M for as long as the thread is up. The first time I actually saw some spooky shit was about 2 weeks after the dumbwaiter incident. Just as some context, the restaurant was the ground floor. The old village offices and infirmary were on the second and fourth floor respectively. I just so happened to be going to the fourth floor on a dare. We called the fourth floor infirmary, the White Room. To this day nobody can give a straight answer on why it's called the White Room, because it certainly isn't white. Spookiest place in the goddamn building. Probably because a shit ton of cultists died there. Wandering around taking pictures because why not? I'll take some tomorrow because this was years ago and I've since got a new phone. So anyway, I'm wandering about snapping photos like a college girl on spring break when the room gets ice cold. My onboard nopiometer starts ticking. Get ready to bounce when I see a woman in period clothes standing by the window. My nopiometer is going ballistic. My pants are preparing for imminent soiling. Remember the faceless man my friend told me about? Shut my eyes because I don't want to see that shit. Feel a cold wind rush past me. Open my eyes and she's gone. Nopiometer stops ticking and I get the hell out of there. I wish this was the last time I'd see spooks there, but unfortunately life doesn't work out how you want it to. Poltergeist-style activity happens every once in a while. It's mostly annoying, but it can get outright scary sometimes. A few examples of the kind of shit I deal with. Be washing dishes like a good little wagey. Bowl goes sailing across the room and shatters. That's generally how it goes. But there have been a few times that would just leave me terrified. Once again washing dishes like a good little wagey. Here drawers start opening. Figure it's just one of the cooks, so I stay in my little dish pit cleaning away. Hear clattering. Turn to ask if I can help him out. Literally a fountain of cutlery. Knives, forks, spoons. God damn it. Fountain of literal actual effing knives starts spewing out of the other drawer. I bail out. Run downstairs to chef's office. Let her know what just happened and tell her I'm taking the rest of the night off. She gives me the okay to leave and I back off. Screw the kitchen ghost. You're a dick. It's not just the restaurant that's haunted. It's pretty much the whole village, hiking trails and all. There's one of the banquet halls that has an old man that enjoys screwing with guests. There's a little boy that wanders the village, and if a man sees him it means his wife is pregnant, normal spoopy ghost fare. And then there's the dilapidated house in the far back of the village. Screw this house in particular. Nobody who has worked there for more than a week will go anywhere near that mother lover, and here's why. All of the buildings in the village are original except for the equipment garage. All of them are well maintained. Except for this house. That's generally the first tip that something isn't effing right. The nonprofit stopped giving a shit about this house back in the 1970s. As far as I know it's because guests were checking out on their first night staying there pretty consistently, but that's of course all they put on the record. Every house in the village is a hotel suite now, except that one. One day me and the boys decide to check it out. We took our time off and went out on our little adventure. Since we were village employees nobody would stop us from going anywhere. All access is pretty dope. We get to the house and for some reason nobody ever locked the door. It's dusty as a mother lover in there and completely devoid of the modern amenities you find in all the other houses. That's not too weird considering it had been abandoned in the 70s. We're in the house for about 5 minutes when shit starts getting weird. Heavy footsteps upstairs. We figure it's a hobo or meth head or something, so we hide under the staircase. More footsteps coming down the stairs. All orifices clenched. Footsteps reach the bottom of the stairs and walk past us. There was effing nobody there. You can see between the cracks in the stairs and nobody was there. We're all freaked out. Decide to be brave little shits and go upstairs. We're about to start exploring when every single door upstairs open. Screw this shit. We bail out and never go back. Stick to the other buildings for exploring from then on. This one almost drove me to quit. I would have if I didn't need the money and the hours didn't work so well for my school schedule. 2019, Christmas time. One of our busiest times of year. Spoopy activity was at an all-time low, so that was nice. Think I'm gonna get through the week without anything weird happening. The dumbwaiter starts screaming. Wait, what the hell? The door is open but the dumbwaiter is on the bottom floor. This isn't how it's supposed to work. I'm the only one in the kitchen and the screaming is getting louder. Sounds wheezy as hell. I hear rhythmic thudding along with the screams. Sounds like someone's climbing up the shaft and screaming. Oh effing hell no. Bail through the back entrance. Call chef and tell her what's going down. She sounds shaken and tells me she heard the screaming too. Shit. She calls a effing Catholic priest to come bless the kitchen. Figure the worst is over. 1 week later, Christmas is Friday, so I won't be working it. Washing dishes when I hear a familiar sound. You've got to be kidding with me. The scream is back. Dumbwaiter door is closed. Figure it's just going to stop. Hear the dumbwaiter door start straining. Fingers are in the effing crack. Nopiometer kicks it into overdrive. Fight or flight going absolutely mental. Sprint out the door again, call chef. Call chef and tell her I can't keep doing this if the goddamn dumbwaiter demon is gonna keep trying to eat me while I work. She tells me to take the rest of the week off and she'll get it sorted. Come back and it hasn't happened since. I'm still paranoid about that effing dumbwaiter. Christmas was Wednesday in 2019, not Friday. Sorry guys, got my days messed up. But that's probably the worst it ever got. I still work in the kitchen and I'm getting closer to my archaeology degree so I can start working for the university. Weird shit still goes down there though for sure. Got a few more stories. Enjoying my lunch break. Best benefit to working there is the food. I get free lunches cooked to customer specifications. Shit's amazing. Sitting on the back staircase because it's nice and shady. Hear scratching on the window. Think it's someone screwing with me. Nobody there, but there are 4 distinct scratch marks on the window. Decide to eat out in my car. Employees get 1 free night's stay at the hotel every year. Naturally, I'll take advantage of this when I feel like I need some time away from my dorm and my studies. Chilling in the hotel room. Got some room service and I'm watching TV. Pasta Alfredo is the bomb. Halfway through an episode of Bizarre Foods, the power cuts. Ah shit, here we go. Door starts rattling. No sir, I did not sign up for this. Politely ask whatever is rattling my door to leave me in peace. Power comes back on and the rattling stops. Eat my food and finish my show. Sometimes they ain't that bad. Last story before I get some sleep. Have class at 10 and work at 4, so I shouldn't skip sleeping. Be about 3 weeks ago, give or take. Teaching new dishwasher how to not mess shit up. Basically the guru at this point. I'm head dishwasher and people treat me like chef. In the middle of showing this kid the ins and outs when we hear slapping footsteps go running through the kitchen. Basically as jaded as it gets after the whole screaming thing in the dumbwaiter shaft incident. New kid looks like he's gonna shit himself. Tell him that stuff is normal and to get used to it. As a safety precaution, tell him to talk to chef if anything really weird happens. Not even 2 hours later. Chef calls me in. Kid is practically catatonic in her office. Chef tells me the story. He was washing dishes like he should be. Hears the whirring sound of the dumb waiter. Goes to open it up. Nothing inside. Weird. Goes back to washing dishes. Plate goes flying across room at Mach 5. Kid hauls ass down to chef's office to tell her the story. He didn't last too long. Normally new hires just ignore the weird shit, but he just couldn't. I feel really bad for him, but I did tell him that weird shit is the norm here.
I worked nights at a night cafe. Business wasn't great during winter, so usually I'd be the only person there from about 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., closing shift. One night I was alone in the cafe, sweeping the floors and trying to clean as much as possible so come 6 I could close. At about 3:30 a.m. the doorbells chime and I turn around to say hello. No one was there. Door clearly wide open, I closed it and turned around. There was this guy. The air around him felt heavy. Super pale skin and looked very thin. At this point I just assumed he was a junkie coming in to get out of the cold. I cleared my throat and started to approach the table. Before I even started to speak, his head snapped towards me. Anon. Do you have meat? Mother Diddler addressed me by name. I never wore my name badge when on shift alone, I kinda stepped back. We've got a couple of meat dishes, want me to get you a menu? I forced myself to smile at him. He stared at me. I handed a menu towards him, he held eye contact and didn't move to take the menu. So I put it in front of him. I asked if he wanted a drink. He just kept staring. I'll give you a moment to decide. I went behind the counter and sent my manager a text asking if she could drop by. Message failed. Tried again, message failed. Rinse and repeat. I put my phone away and looked back towards his table. He was gone. I didn't hear the door chime as he left, so I assumed he'd gone to the bathroom. I started to calm down a bit, rationalizing it was simply a junkie. Realizing he may have been a junkie made me suspicious of what he was doing in the bathroom, so I decided to check. It was completely empty and the window was still locked. I still have no idea how he knew my name. I don't know where he went. I quit that job shortly after. A few months later my coworker was killed in a failed robbery. Or so we were told. I believe it may have been the same thing I encountered that night.
I do basic maintenance and janitorial work at a hospital. I work the graveyard shift. The most recent odd event was a woman walking into the men's bathroom while I was repairing a urinal and proceeding to pull down her pants, and lift her coochie so she could spray piss into a urinal on the other side of the room. A few weeks ago, I observed a manic individual slit their wrists and lock themselves in the bathroom and damage the plumbing. That was quite the cleanup.
B 19 years old Coomer. Work closing shift at Dollar Tree. Counting money at end of shift in manager's office. Look at the camera feed. WTF is that? JPEG. Fridge doors near back of the store open and slam shut. Ask manager. Oh yeah, stuff like that happens from time to time, just ignore it. Okay. Finish counting and close up. Head to car. Loud screaming from inside store. No thank you. Drive the hell off. Next day. Hey, manager, what was that screaming last night? Dunno, but it happens once a week or so. Quit the next day for unrelated reasons.
Live in a smaller city. Not quite a town, but lots of undeveloped land/forests. Near a part of town closer to the woods. Driving to work at night, midnight shift. Drive uphill and witness the following in one swift action. Pale white man, skinny, bony, no clothes or hair. Saw in great detail, ribs and all. It moves forwards and ducks down, then looks like a skinny white greyhound-like dog. Once again in great detail, I could see its ribs, its urns, its leg bones. Runs to the other side of the street very quickly. Once I stop, a small white cat sits right where the figure, it then walks away quickly after looking at me. Still have no clue what exactly I saw.
Work nights at a warehouse in the arse end of nowhere. The nearest building to us on the industrial estate was some strange cultish church with high gates surrounding it. Seemingly always empty, but once a month or so at around 3 a.m., a convoy of SUVs pulls in, all the same make, model and color. About 50 families all wearing matching clothes attending some kind of night mass.
Be me. Working overnights at a laboratory. Pathology department and morgue are proximal to the laboratory. Quiet Tuesday night. Disheveled man starts knocking on our door, locked at night. Dressed in what I consider occult garb. Tell him our normal hours of operation so he can go away. Tells me he is not here for service, rather a job interview. WTF. EXE. Ask him who sent him. Does not reply. Starts mumbling. I can bring back people from the dead. What, lol. Okay buddy, hold on, we will get you into contact with someone. Coworker calls security. He is escorted off the property. Kicked hard, thought he was drunk. A month passes. Horrible double homicide and suicide occurs in my town. Same guy murdered his 2 daughters while practicing witchcraft or some shit. Killed himself when he couldn't bring them back. Shit was messed up.
3 times this has happened. Pet Shop Boys West End Girls begins to play on automated store radio. Twinkies fly off of the shelf. That's literally it. The song plays a few times every shift, and it's only happened 3 times in the 2 years I've been there, but still eerie. If I'm not busy, I watch for it. The aisle is right in my view. It's been caught on camera each time.
Be me, 2018 science teacher. Work at a school in one of the most rural parts of a fairly urban city. Last official event of the year, have this social thing on Saturday night, where awards are given and whatnot, runs late. Had some final bullshit admin to deal with, so decide to just stay and do it so I can enjoy my weekend before the 3-day week of nothing. Sit in empty classroom filling out stupid goal sheets and other bullshit for about 45 minutes. Finish up at about 10:30ish, lights out and start heading home. Place is dark and silent, surreal without kids. Get in car, pull out to go home. About to pull onto road when a car goes flying past at like 150 kilometers per hour. It's a straight road, so I just dismiss as the local village idiot out larping as a race car driver. Check left to see if any of his mates are following him. Standing under the streetlight at the crossroads about 100 meters away, the figure about 8 to 10 feet tall, black as the darkness behind it. It's moving in a way that I can only describe as heavy, rapid breathing, as if it's just been sprinting. Its head is emitting an orange light. Fumble for my phone to try get a pic, but it turns and runs back the way it came from. Gone before I could even open the camera. Go home thinking about it but dismiss it as tiredness and a tree branch or something. Had almost forgotten about it till now. Never seen shit like this before or again. Forgive my terrible drawing. The glow was similar to ionizing radiation, glowing but orange and only on the head.
B15. Ina Hills near my house. Foothills of San Bernardino Mountains in SoCal, no woods. With Buddy. Sober as stones. Walking on dirt road connecting construction area to our neighborhood. This road is now an actual street. Because it is connecting a neighborhood being constructed and an existing neighborhood, there are many backyards facing this area. We are focusing on this moving light, wondering what the freak it actually is. It's literally just a motion light. We both feel stupid. We both continue staring at it while talking and walking. Two tremendous dark figures, about as tall as the house, or taller, rush past it. It looked as if they were floating, no legs to be seen, yet somehow they appeared to be material and not some spoopy ghosts. They completely blocked the light for about 1/10 of a second each, and it was clear that there were two of them. Appeared that they vaulted over the fence about as easily as a human being vaults over a 3.5 feet railing. This is easily a 6 feet wooden fence though. The motion light is connected to near the top of the house. No way it was something smaller than at least the size of the house, yet about as thin as human beings. I say, bro, did you just effing see that? He mumbles, yes. What the hell? Honestly, I don't know, let's just go home. Walk in silence the rest of the way, totally abnormal for us. Years later. Friend's brother is taking a walk in our neighborhood. Walks downhill into a small valley. As you get to the bottom of the hill, there's a lot of bushes on the left. As he's passing the bushes, he feels something rush past him. He hears heavy footsteps, as if something effing big is running behind him. He obviously spins around to see what it is. There's absolutely nothing to be seen. Again, this is SoCal, there's no woods for something to be hiding in or to disappear into. Just an empty stretch of fields between a bunch of hills. Walks home spooked.
I once fell asleep during my guard night shift at a construction yard at 4 in the morning. I dreamt of a man approaching my booth and is about to try knocking. I then got woken up by a knock. It was one of the workers, came early to pick up a tool. Did I astral project? I dreamt of something happening as it was happening in the real world.
Work as a tarred wrangler in a group home. Work overnights because all the dopes are asleep in their rooms. About 1 a.m., I'm folding laundry. Happen to look into the open doorway of a bedroom, dark in there. See the outline of a person standing in there. Hear the shuffle of feet on the floor, the outline approaches the light of the hallway. More food? It's one of the tarts we call Dopey Diane. A woman in her 50s, literally 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, who is violently food obsessed, has permanently maimed other tards and wranglers over food. Slammed the head of a female wrangler into a cupboard so hard the wood shattered and the wrangler was taken out on comp with facial scars, all because the wrangler denied Dopey Diane a second snack, after a first snack and 2 double-portion dinners. More food? Diane, get your stupid ass back to bed. I get the stench of raunchy old feces. She steps into the light of the hall and I can see she's bare-ass naked, covered top to bottom in smeared, dried shit. Her hair is matted with dried shit. She is actively pissing on the floor as she's standing there in her doorway. Mooery food? I grab a bath towel and take her by the shoulders and spin her around. Get your stupid ass back to bed. Once facing her room, I see she is actively pushing out the thickest, meatiest log I've ever seen. Literally her asshole is stretched to the breaking point, bleeding everywhere. I toss her back in her bedroom and give her her lorazepam so she can go back to sleep in her own filth, which she does. Goddamn night shift.
Be me. Working night shift for years. Nothing scary ever happens. The end.